What's up, guys? It's your host Spartanic Arts DxD back with another high school DxD related video. And today we have What If Issei Was the Son of Great-red Part 5. Let's try to hit 500 likes for another Great-red part. I know you guys have been wanting it so bad. If you guys want to know exactly when I upload / my upload schedule, click the little blue button right next to the subscribe button. Seriously, thank you for all the support on that stream. Even though my hairline looked absolutely terrible, I promise you it doesn't look like that, but the camera is mirrored. You know, I'm not even trying to defend myself fine, but So thank you for all the nice compliments as well. I'm pretty sure we made like well over $200 that stream. Like, that's actually crazy. I'm glad that everyone donated me enough money to fix my hairline. But seriously, thank you for all the support. Like, that was truly an amazing stream. If you guys want to see more streams like that, just let me know in the comment section down below, and I'll try to plan it out more accordingly as well. So once again, thank you for all the support. Like, I cannot thank you enough for that stream. Thanks for 25K. We're hitting that 30K soon, baby. You already know the grind. Okay, so without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into it. Chapter 8, A Day to Remember. A year has passed since the incident with the group of rogue devils, and life have gone back to normal for everyone. In the beginning, Orpheus, Great-red, and Barakiel kept their children as close as possible to ensure their safety, in case the devils decide to make another attempt at their children. However, after a few months of no activity, they judged that everything was fine, and soon everything went back to normal after everything calmed down. Issei's and Akino's relationship continued to grow with each passing day. It got to a point where they were practically inseparable. In addition, Issei started to make his training a lot more seriously, since the incident taught him that there was a lot of dangerous beings out there and he needed to grow stronger in order to be able to protect Akino and those he held dear. He understood that his victory was only due to luck, having been able to destroy the barrier containing them, thus allowing their parents to rescue them. To make matters worse, according to Akino, he lost consciousness while there were still many enemies left alive, thus endangering her life. Of course, no one blamed him for having lost consciousness. He fought with every ounce of his strength he had against the several enemies, while protecting Akino from harm. The very fact that he managed to do that at such a young age was worthy of praise, but unfortunately for Issei, it was a strike to his pride. He won the battle, but lost the war. If his parents were a tad bit late, or he failed to destroy the barrier, then both of them would have not been alive today, which is why he wished to gain strength in order to avoid such a scenario from happening ever again. Even Akino started to get better by using her holy lightning. She wanted to get stronger so that she would not be a burden to Issei. Even though he denied it, she knew that Issei would have a much easier time than she had not been so weak and useless. Most of the time, the devils took advantage of her in order to be able to land hits on Issei. Not only did he have to focus on fighting the enemy, but he also had to split his attention towards protecting her, which made him more vulnerable to Valper's assault. The scar across his chest is proof enough of her incumbency. In order to avoid being placed in such situation ever again, she started training with her dad, whenever he had time to spare. Today, however, was not time for unpleasant thoughts, because today was a special day, and both of them were busy getting ready for the occasion. Today was Issei's birthday, and both families agreed to spend his birthday at the amusement park, which made him very excited. They were supposed to go last year, but the devil incident caused their parents to become paranoid and would not let the kids out of their sight, so they barely had any chance to do any activities other than staying at each other's place. But now that things have calmed down, and the fact that it's Issei's birthday, they could finally plan a trip to the amusement park. After waking up, he quickly dressed himself up and headed downstairs for breakfast. His parents had already finished eating and were ready to go, but it seems they were having a bit of an argument. For the last time, we are not going through your unless motorcycle. We already agreed to meet Shuri and her family at the shrine. We can simply teleport there, Orpheus told Great-red. She had to correct herself there, as she did not want to swear in front of Issei as much as possible. Why not? This bike is super fast, and we can meet them in style, complained Great-red. Your bike will just give me and Issei a massive headache with all the noise it creates. That contraption is even noisier than you, and it's saying something. Oh, Orpheus, this bike is a divine creation, a miracle created by the hands of humans, and it does not deserve to be called a contraption. This is the god of all machines, with speed exceeding. However, before he could continue, he was interrupted by his wife. Yeah. I already heard all of that a million times already. If you love it so much, why don't you marry it? I'm sure me and Issei can find another place to stay with you two alone. Orpheus teased while a devious smirk on her face. Great-red, caught by the surprise by the statement, could only stutter in response. It seems that after all these years spent together, she finally knows how to deal with him, just left him grumbling. I liked you better when you were trying to kill me, he whispered. What was that? She retorted. Nothing. We will do things your way. Today is Issei's special day, and I wouldn't want us to spend arguing over pointless things. He sighed, looking at Issei, who was finishing his breakfast. Yes, it is, she nodded as she shifted her attention towards Issei. Issei, are you done with your breakfast? Yes, Mom, I'm finished eating. Let's go, 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 said an excited Issei, already at the door, which caused both parents to laugh at their son's reactions. All right, Issei, come here. We will be teleporting to the shrine and save time and meet up with Shuri, Barakiel, and Akano. Ha, Issei said, making his way towards his parents. When they were all ready, Orpheus activated her magic circle, which teleported them to their destination. Now located in front of the familiar, the Hyodo family made its way towards in front of the entrance, where they were greeted with the sight of a family they were going to meet. At the sight of Issei, Akano quickly towards Rena with a bright smile on her face and enveloped him into a hug. Happy birthday, Issei, she cheered. Thank you, Akano-san, he answered as he returned her embrace. In the back of Akano were her parents, who were slowly making their way towards them, and seeing the display it caused Shuri to giggle. The day has barely begun, and Akano has already made our little Issei happy. We have your gifts ready for you at home, but if you prefer, we can always change them and give you Akano, if that'll make you happier, she teased, as she got an exact reaction she hoped for as they both separated from one another, blushing heatedly. Great-red then joined in on the fun. You can't do that, Shuri. There is no way we can defeat that gift. Ha! He said, causing the others to join in on the joke. Although it didn't seem possible, Issei and Akano's cheek became brighter, sheet of red as they should respectively. Dad! Mom! As they laughed settled down, Orpheus decided to get everyone back at the albeit with the tease mixed in. If you are bullying the newlyweds, we have an amusement park to get to. Everyone nodded at her statement. Issei's mood went from embarrassed to excited in one moment. Yeah, let's go. A few moments later, they all arrived at the amusement park, and Issei could hide the awe he felt in the sheer size and the amount of rides there were. So many people were seen enjoying every sort of ride, he could not wait to get on each one of them, as this was the first time in such a place. Akano could not help but share his excitement. However, unlike Issei, this is not the first time she had been to an amusement park, as her parents took her once before. She was also excited because this would be the first time she could come to such a place with not only her friend, but the boy who she held a crush on. Before she could continue on her thoughts, Issei grabbed her by the hand and dragged her towards the rides, in the process causing her to blush at the assertiveness, but then unnoticed by the culprit. Let's go on this one, Akano. Issei pointed towards the roller coaster. Akano simply nodded as they made their way towards the line, their parents following closely behind while chattering with one another. Time went by very fast for Issei as he got on different rides, roller coasters, merry-go-rounds, pirate ships, and even tried bungee jumping, although that made him a bit nauseous, but nevertheless, he had a lot of fun. They even went into the arcade. This is where things get a bit interesting. He challenged Akano to many different games, from racing games to dancing games, but he always ended up losing. Akano, can you go easy on me, please? Pouted Issei, causing Akano to laugh. Can't the big strong dragon handle a little challenge? Are you asking me for some mercy? Teased Akano. Never. Let's go again, shouted Issei, having his pride as a dragon wounded as he continued to play game after game, but still losing. Amusingly enough, a short distance away, a similar situation was occurring with their fathers. Great-red, having spotted a motorcycle game, quickly challenged Barakiel to a match when he accepted. Are you ready for a royal beatdown, Barakiel? Challenged Great-red with a smirk. Barakiel answered with one of his own. Bring it on, Red. Unfortunately, Great-red, a real motorcycle, is very different from an arcade one. He kept making mistakes, causing him to lose the race. I want a rematch. I just went easy on you, okay? That's the only reason why I lost, but this time I will win, shouted Great-red. Throwing a temper tantrum like a child. Decided to humor him, Barakiel accepted his offer. Despite his eagerness, Great-red, like his son, kept losing, time and time again. During one, he even retorted to cheating. When he was sure no one was looking at their direction, he spawned his tail and poked Barakiel aside, causing him to lose concentration and allowing Great-red to take the lead in the race. Wow, resorting to cheating now, are we? I never pegged you for such a sore loser, giggled Barakiel. Doesn't matter. All is fair in love and war. I will bring any means necessary, he said. Yet, despite cheating, he still ended up losing, causing him to prod even further. Orpheus could do nothing but sigh at both her husband's and son's behavior. Phew. Why don't we go and have tea while the kids are having their fun, suggested Shuri, who casually called her husband a kid. Orpheus simply nodded as they made their way towards the seated table. Sometimes I really wish he would act proper for once in his life, stated Orpheus about her husband. He could. But then he wouldn't be the man you fell in love with, right? Orpheus sighed, knowing that Shuri was said was true. You are right. As always, I just wish Issei wouldn't have to behave so much like his father. Children inherit the traits of both their parents. Some are good and some are bad. Yet, despite that, we will never stop loving them and cherishing them, Shuri stated, looking towards her daughter, Orpheus doing the same thing with her son. Indeed, no matter what he becomes, I will always love my little sister. Oh, love my little Issei, she said with a smile on her face. Time went by and eventually they made it out of the arcade, although both Issei and Great-red could be seen head down brooding over their defeats. With synchronized motion, they pointed towards their respective opponents. Next time, I won't lose, they both said at the same time. Orpheus recalling her earlier conversation with Shuri, but could not help but a small smile. Like father, like son indeed. All of a sudden, everyone a loud growl noise came from both of them. Oh, it seems we played until we were hungry, rubbing his stomach as Great-red said this. Everyone started laughing, making Issei a bit embarrassed, but still joining on the laugh. They made their way towards a restaurant where they could fill their bellies. Great-red ate what seems like an entire buffet, but while Orpheus had some spaghetti and bolognese. Shuri ordered a salad and Barakiel a steak. Issei, for his part, ate a steak with some spaghetti, and his mom took while Akeno simply had the same as her mom. Noticing that evening was fast approaching, they quickly finished eating and headed out to partake in one last ride, the Ferris wheel. Normally there was enough space for all of them, but to enter they wanted to give their kids some private time together. Orpheus even went up to the operator and asked if she could allow their son's car to stop at the top for his birthday. Of course her request is immediately accepted, since it is possible to say no to a goddess incarnate like Orpheus, even if a recipient is a woman. If anything, during their entire trip, so many people have been gawking at Orpheus, both men and women stopping to even get a glimpse of her beauty. Men stated in lust, while women in awe and jealousy. Yet this time, Orpheus straight up ignored them all, focusing on her son's birthday. Anyways, as the ride was coming to a close, just as Orpheus' request, Issei's and Akeno's cart stopped at the top, beginning to a magnificent view of the amusement park, as well as the city of Ko. Wow, that's a fantastic view, Akeno pointed out, looking outside. Yes, it really is, he answered. However, he was not talking about the scenery when he said, but rather another beautiful girl standing in front of him, although Akeno did not notice this. Akeno, Issei called her, which made her turn her attention towards him as he continued. Thank you very much for being with me today. I cannot express how happy I am at the moment. Today has really been one of the best days of my life, and I'm really glad that you are here to share it with me, Issei said, revealing a beautiful smile that caused Akeno to blush heavily as she cried desperately to read out a response. Thank you, Issei. I feel the same way as you do. I had a wonderful time today, letting out her own impeccable smile as both of them stared passionately into each other's eyes. Issei, just before Akeno could finish her statement, their attention was redirected towards a loud noise coming from outside the cart. The fireworks display had started, and it was a very beautiful display. The grand finale featured a large variety of fireworks, different colors, which was awesome, but surprised them both. Was the message displayed in the sky when the largest firework exploding, revealing, "Happy birthday, Issei!" Great-red had used his powers to manipulate the fireworks to give his son one last birthday gift. Issei could not help but let out a few tears expressing how happy he really is. Boom! The sound of another firework being launched reached their ears. This was most likely the last one before the end. What appeared out of a firework was something no one could even imagine. It was an image of Great-red's motorcycle. He had just had to have the last laugh. From inside the cart, they could hear, "You bloody idiot!" The sound of Orpheus screaming at Great-red's idiocy. Looking down, they could actually see her strangling the life out of Great-red, shouting other curse words with Shuri and Barakiel laughing on the side. Seeing this spectacle caused them to laugh in turn, thus bringing the day to an end. On their way home of the amusement park, everyone could tell that Orpheus was in less pleasant mood than ever at her husband's actions. Why the hell did you have to ruin the day with that? Hey, you at least have to give me that. I couldn't bring my motorcycle today, so that was it for make up for it. This was supposed to be Issei's special day. I honestly believe it was very sweet of you to use your powers in such a way for the fireworks display, and yet you just had to show everyone your ridiculous freaking bike, emphasizing the last part. What are you talking about? Many people thought my motorcycle was cool. Yeah, and they all look like degenerate delinquents. At least they have appreciation for class, replied Great-red. While his parents were bickering, Issei could not help but be happy today. Despite his mother's beliefs, he had a blast today, and he appreciates them organizing today, and while it did not end positively, he was spending time with the people he cares about the most and would not trade the luxury in the world. Well, this is where we part ways. Once again, happy birthday, Issei, and I hope you have a pleasant time today, exclaimed Barakiel, who patted the boy's head, turning his attention towards his uncle. Yeah, I had a blast, Uncle. Thank you for coming all this way with Auntie Shuri, he said as Shuri embraced him in a hug, also wishing him a good birthday. We also had fun, Issei-kun. It was a pleasure to be such a special day, and I think I can also for Akano as well when I say there is no way we're going to miss it for the world. You know it isn't late to switch your gifts for Akano. Mom! The last part of Shuri's statement caused Akano to become embarrassed as she blessed the remark, which served to cause her mom to laugh some more. Sorry, honey, but I just can't help but tease the two of you whenever possible, she said, looking over her daughter, who had a pouting expression. Understanding that this was who her mom was, she let out a small sigh in order to calm herself before turning her attention towards Issei. She moved forward and hugged him, wishing him a happy birthday before heading back home. Once again, happy birthday, Issei. I also had a great time today. I hope we can do this again someday. Thank you, Akano, although next time I will win, he said, still bitter at not being able to claim a single victory over at the arcade. Ha! One can always dream, Akano said, teasing Issei, causing him to pout, which she found cute. Before separating, Issei remembered something he wanted to ask her. Akano, at the Ferris wheel you were trying to tell me something before we were interrupted by the fireworks display, so I just was wondering what you wanted to tell me then. His curiosity getting the better of him, asking what she wanted to tell him. What he got in response was a heavy blush by Akano, who could not believe that he recalled such a moment. Taking a moment to recompose herself and think of something to say, she took a deep breath and answered, "This isn't the right time to tell you, Issei, but in a few weeks when my birthday is coming up, would you mind waiting until then to hear what I have to say?" she said, and looked at him, anticipating his answer. Of course. I don't mind, Akano-chan. I promise that on your birthday, I will listen to whatever you wish to tell me, he said, lifting his pinky finger. Akano then hooked her own, solidifying the little oath as they both smiled towards one another. It's a promise. They both said at the same time, before separating and returning to their respective families. Both families waved goodbye to each other before heading back home. On their way home, Barakiel receives a call from none other than Azazel. Normally, this wouldn't be an issue, but considering that it was his day off, the fact that he is contacting him now can only mean that there is some type of problem. Azazel, is something the matter? Asked Barakiel. Hey, my friend, as a matter of fact, there is. Sorry for disturbing your day off. However, the Gregor is under siege by various groups of rogue devils. I've already dispatched our forces, but the northern section of the Gregor has asked for reinforcements. Coqueville, Pyongyang, and Chevalier are busy dealing with their own enemies, so I can only ask you for help. I know you were supposed to have the entire day off today, and I really apologize for the inconvenience, but if you can spare a moment of your time to help me resolve the issue, I would greatly appreciate it. With your help, it should not take long, at most a few hours, Azazel explained in a serious attitude in contrast so his usual upbeat attitude, emphasizing how serious the situation was. Barakiel did not want to leave, but Azazel would not have contacted him if he wouldn't have wanted help. With a heavy sigh, he nodded to himself. All right, Azazel, I'll be there. Send me the coordinates, and I'll deal with the situation as quick as possible. Thank you, Barakiel. To make up for this, I can give you the rest of the week off so you can spend it with your family. Also, say hi to Shuri for me, not to beat up you too badly when you return. He said, reverting to his usual laid-back behavior when he started the last sentence, resulting in a small laugh from Barakiel. Some things never change. That might not be possible, Azazel. Anyway, I'll talk to you soon. Very well. Good luck. Anyway, stay safe. Azazel said as he hanged up the call. Barakiel then shifted his attention to his wife without a worried look on her face. Akano, on the other hand, had no idea what was going on and simply continued walking to her house. Is everything all right? Shuri asked her husband, who turned his head to the side. No. I just received an emergency summon from Azazel, who needs my help taking down rogue devils attacking the Gregor. I'm sorry, honey. I know I promised to spend the entire day with you, but... Shuri placed his finger on his mouth, interrupting what Barakiel was about to say, which surprised him. You should go. Akano and I will be just fine. You need to go help your friend, she said, caressing his cheek to show everything was fine. Barakiel embraced his wife in a hug. Thank you, Shuri. They both shared a kiss before separating as Barakiel prepared to depart. I'm off. It won't take too long. Tell Akano I'll be back soon, smiled Barakiel at his wife before he teleported to the Gregor. After that was done, Shuri made her way towards Akano, who noticed that her father was missing. Where did Tosan go? She asked her mother, who responded. Your father had to leave for an important meeting with his friends. He will be back soon, so let's go home and prepare dinner, shall we? Shuri lied to her daughter due to the fact that she didn't want to rekindle any difficult memories. It has only been a year since the Road Devil's assault against them, and she was scared if she told Akeno about the real reason he left, it might have some negative consequences. Besides, today was the happiest, having celebrated Issei's birthday, and her daughter was incredibly happy. No need to ruin the occasion, so small lie is fine. Alright, Kasan, she said as the both women headed home. Unbeknownst to them, they were being followed. It seems our source was correct. This is the family of that accused fallen angel, Barakiel, said an unknown man. Good. Contact the rest of them and tell them to meet up in Ko. We will finally be able to claim our vengeance against that monster, he smirked evilly. The other followed suit before contacting the rest of the group. Back at the shrine, Shuri finished preparing dinner for her family, and all that was left was the life to Barakiel to come home and eat. She looks over near the entrance to spot Akeno waiting for her father to return through the entrance. Smiling at her daughter, she made her way towards her. He lifted to place on her lap and decided to brush her hair. When will Dad get home? Akeno asked her mother. Soon, dear. He just needs to finish his bus. All of a sudden, her senses warned of her incoming danger. She grabbed her daughter and bolted away from the spot. Mere moments later, the front entrance blew up, sending debris everywhere. If Shuri had not reacted as soon as she did, both of them might not have survived the impact. However, the room itself is a huge mess. The Tansu has pushed down on the floor, and there is now a huge hole in the Tatamani floor. The dinner table is now turned upside down, with the dinner food sprayed all over the ground. After regaining her senses, she quickly looked to see if Akeno was alright and placed her on a relief. She did not have a scratch on her, save for her clothes being soiled due to the blast heat. Her attention was soon diverted as many unknowns stormed and surrounded them. Who are you and what do you want with us? She screamed at them while keeping her daughter close to her, who was very scared at the moment while internally thinking, Tao-san, help us. Please, Tao-san, help us. Issei! As she buried her trembling body into her mom's embrace, praying that she would come help them. One of them stepped forward with a smirk on his face and answered, well, since you asked so nicely, we are enemies, or more specifically, we bear a grudge with the fallen angel Barakiel. He has been a thorn in our side for many years, so we received a tip telling us where his family was hidden. Well, the chance was too good to pass up. Shuri shivered, understanding what they were planning to do. She would be damned if she would let anything happen to Akeno. Another one stepped forward, presumably the leader. He carried himself as such. I will have you hand that child over. She is the child of the hated, that evil black angel, he told her to only get shut down. I won't hand over this child. This child is my precious daughter, and also an important and precious daughter of that person. Never. I will absolutely hand her over. The leader simply sighed. It seems just like we were told, that you have indeed been defiled by the fallen angel. What a shame that for such a noble lineage to fall in disgrace. It can't be helped then. Akeno watched as Jutsu drew out a katana, lifted it up and high and slashed down. Akeno's mind slowed down as the katana made contact with her mother's back. Blood splashing upwards and her mother's body was suddenly dropping lifeless to the ground, having protected her daughter. No! Akeno shrieked as she shocked her mother's body, trying to desperately wake up. Please wake up! Wake up, Mom! Pleaded Akeno in tears, completely in denial that her mother has passed away in her arms. That wretched woman got what she deserved. To think that she would spoil her lineage with the disgusting fallen angel. Spat one of them. Akeno could do nothing but stare at them. Clear anger in her eyes, but powerless to do anything against them. Remember this. Fallen angels are evil existences that have been cast out of heaven due to their sins. It is our mission to get rid of them for the good of humanity. It is a real shame about your mother, but if your mother did not associate with the evil beings, she would still be alive today. Unfortunately, since you are a spawn of that wretched angel, your existence is one we can also not tolerate. I do not enjoy torturing children, so I'll make this as painless as possible. The leader once again said, is forward and lifted his katana to finish what they all came to do. Before the jutsu could finish off, they heard a loud crash behind them. Stay away from my daughter! An angry Barakiel stood behind them, ready to kill them. Having sensed that something was wrong, he quickly dispatched the rogue devils, and he was assigned to get rid of them, and quickly teleported his way back home, only to find that he was too late. Tears flowing down his face as he looked upon his wife's dead body, which quickly turned to extreme rage as he saw the men responsible trying to finish off his daughter. He quickly shot a bolt of lightning at that was about to strike at Akeno, reducing him to ash. Some of them tried to attack Barakiel, but unfortunately none could even come close to reaching him before being vaporized by his lightning. The rest tried their best to get away. However, Barakiel was not having any of that. Using his lightning, he quickly vaporized them, any one of them that stood in his way. This one-sided massacre ended after a few minutes, with all of the Jutsta laying dead before his feet, with Barakiel covered in their blood. Unfortunately, there was no happiness to be had as he looked upon his wife's lifeless body and embraced by his crying daughter, asking her mother to wake up. Unfortunately, trouble was still lurking. Outside the shrine, hidden by concealment spells, several unknown people were discussing amongst themselves. It seems the Jutsta have failed. Despite them giving Barakiel's coordinates, they couldn't finish off the helpless girl. How useless, the lot of them. We should have taken care of this situation ourselves, said one of them. Well, it wasn't a total loss. It seems they managed to get rid of one disgraceful woman, Shuri. I cannot believe she would dare to soil our clan's bloodline with a disgusting fallen angel, spitted the another one, revealing these men was a part of the Hajime clan. Still, do you think it was wise without informing the council? Disgraced though she may be, Shuri was still a member of the Hajime clan, pondered a female of the group, receiving a few nods from the compatriots. The moment she culpated with a fallen angel was the day she turned her back on our clan. While they didn't take any direction against her, the council also wanted nothing more to do with her. She was basically shunned by her family, and no one will ever miss her or a few ingrates. In addition, you should not worry about the council, for it was our superior who ordered this. Many perpetrations have been made, so this would not be tracked back to us. If anything, they will most likely believe that the fallen angel himself got rid of them and disposed of them himself. Another answered, most likely the leader of the bunch. It is a shame that those useless Showa were unable to dispose of that fallen spawn, but they did buy us unnecessary amount of time to finish our preparations, he said as another member came out from the bushes to confirm what he said. Sir, all the seals are in place. We wait only in your order to begin. Very good. Everyone else, get into position. Today is the day we rid ourselves of the Hajime's disgrace. Yes, sir. Everyone repelled as they moved into their assigned position, ready to begin. Back inside the house, a brooding Barakiel slowly made his way towards his fallen wife, while sobbing, Akano was trying desperately to wake up her mother. Kasan, no, Kasan, please wake up. Akano was shaking the body of her mother, who had already passed away, and was crying out. Shuri. Barakiel-san tries to touch his wife with trembling hands. Don't touch her! Akano clashed her anger against her father. Why? Why didn't you stay with Mom? We always waited for Tosan. If Tosan was here, the wouldn't have died. Barakiel did not say a word as Akano continued releasing her anger. Those people said this, that Tosan is a black angel, and that you are evil. They said that black angels are bad people. They said I'm a bad child because I also have black wings. If Tosan and I didn't have black wings, then Kasan wouldn't have died. Hate. I hate it. I hate these black wings. I hate you. I hate everyone. I hate them. Barakiel couldn't do anything but let his daughter release her frustrations on him. His heart was shattered to pieces as his daughter shouted her hatred at him. He couldn't blame her for feeling this way, not only because she was a child, but because she knew he was right. It was his duty to protect them, and when they needed him most, he wasn't there to help them. He failed them. If only he sensed the danger sooner, he could have made it in time to save his wife. Now, he could do nothing but stare helplessly at his wife's body while dripping down tears in his face. Before he could continue mourning, he suddenly felt a hostile presence outside, putting him on alert. Are these reinforcements the Jada had in reserves in someone else entirely? He didn't know, but he would be damned if they allow any more harm to come to his family. He lost his wife, but he was going to make sure he would protect his daughter. Stay inside, Akano, he told her as he bolted outside his house, stopping at the entrance. He carefully scanned his surroundings, trying to pinpoint where the enemy is at, slowly moving forward so as to caught off guard. Unfortunately, he was too worried about the possible sneak attacks that he failed to recognize that he stepped right into their trap. All of a sudden, a multi-layered barrier surrounded Barakiel, who recognized the spell. How could he not when it felt like the same type of power his wife uses? It carried the Hajime clan symbol when it appeared. He did not understand what was going on, but he would think later on. His first priority is to destroy the barrier and protect his daughter from harm. Gathering a large amount of holy lightning, he blasted the barrier, causing many of the inner layers to break. However, the outer layer held strong to Barakiel's surprise, and in an instant the inner layers that were destroyed quickly repaired themselves. That meant in order to be free, he would have to generate a large amount of power to completely destroy the barrier in one move. Given enough time, Barakiel could easily accomplish such an act. He wasn't a cadre for nothing. Unfortunately, life isn't that easy. He looked down towards his feet and noticed another magic circle surrounding him. At first, he thought it was an attempt to strike him, surrounded him with a barrier, thus trapping him, followed by an unavoidable attack. A sound strategy when taking on a powerful opponent. Unfortunately, he realized too little late that the circle what actually it was. His expression turned into one of fear when he noticed that his magic circle was in fact a teleportation circle. Normally, it was impossible to cancel or negate a teleportation spell, but it requires one to do so at the moment. It spawns into existence for that is when it is most vulnerable. Unfortunately, Barakiel was so focused on getting rid of the barrier surrounding him that he failed to notice the spell spawning underneath him, in time thus missing his window of opportunity to negate it. His enemy's main strategy was never to take him down, but rather to take him out of the equation, leaving his daughter vulnerable. Realizing the severity of the situation, Barakiel desperately unleashed everything he had, praying it would work. Unfortunately, his lightning wasn't condensed and focused enough to completely annihilate the barrier. He needed time to condense the lightning into the powerful burst, and unfortunately his enemies took that option away from him. Seeing that Barakiel was trapped, the leader revealed a smirk. "It's time," he said as he took a small talisman from his pocket and launched it upwards. The talisman caught fire, bursting into flames. The other members, seeing this, understood that it was the signal to begin the operation. Almost in unison, they took each other a similar talisman as the leaders began reciting some unknown chant, most likely had Jamina smell. They then released their talismans, each one of them separating positions surrounding the shrine. From the spawned a magic circle which started to gather power. Hajuna's sacred arts, lightning release, ration. They all shouted. At the same time, massive lightning dragon came down on the shrine, enveloping it completely and reducing it to ashes. "No, Akeno!" Barakiel could do nothing but scream helplessly for his daughter as the shrine was reduced to rubble before the teleportation took him someplace else. It was Issei. Just as Barakiel disappeared, another figure made his appearance. That person was Issei, who sadly witnessed the entire scene. On his way home, he suddenly felt a chill run down his spine that something is wrong. It was then followed by what he could have sworn was Akeno's voice calling out to him, "Issei!" Wanting to figure out what it was happening, he told his parents that he accidentally left something back at Akeno's place and was going to get it. Getting their permission, he spawned his wings, hoping to make it faster by air rather than by land. No matter how much time passed or how much closer he got to the shrine, that sickening feeling of pit in his stomach would not go away, causing unimaginable worry to sprite from Issei as he picked up the pace. After a few minutes, he could see his destination coming to view. From afar, the shrine looked fine, and he was able to sense Akeno's presence, causing him to let out a small sigh of relief. All of a sudden, a massive pillar of lightning formed above the shrine. The next moment, the shrine was gone, along with any presence of Akeno. He could not comprehend what just happened. One moment he was making his way towards the shrine, and the next, when he got the sight of it, an immense pillar of if lightning suddenly came into being, enveloped the entire shrine. Then a moment later, everything in sight was gone. The shrine, the surrounding trees, everything. All that was left was a huge crater when everything once stood. He was out of it, that he couldn't even hear Barakiel's cry just before he disappeared. In the background, one could hear small cracking noises coming from Issei, the inevitable conclusion that he could no longer deny. Akeno had died. Right in front of him, his breathing suddenly became erratic, as his mind slowly shut down, feeling as though a world filled with nothing but darkness surrounded him. In the seemingly empty void, images began to flash in front of them. All of them were images of Akeno. "Issei-san," another crack was heard. Her smile, her expressions, her smell, her touch. More cracks were heard. Everything of her started snipping forth from his memories as he heard a voice similar to his own yelling out at the very outcome. He feared with all of his soul. "You failed her!" In the very same moment, the last crack was heard. All of the seals placed on him suddenly disappeared as he let out a defeating cry, his voice surrounding even deeper than usual. "Akeno!" A massive explosion of dark crimson aura burst forth from Issei as his sorrowful cry reaching all the way of the sky as if piercing heavens and causing a massive shockwave around him. The exorcist responsible for this mess did not even have time to understand what was happening when the aura enveloped them, incinerating them from existence. Within the aura, a massive 25-foot-long crimson dragon emerged. The majority of his body was covered with dark red scales, Issei's lower body, specifically his stomach. The inner proportions of his long tail and legs are beige in color. Issei also possessed a large scar, located around the center of his body, that he got years ago while fighting the 8-winged devil Valper. His back had numerous black spikes, reaching down from the back end of his tail. Issei has a triangular head with horns, a pair of large, red, round eyes with black sclera and sharp horn pointing upwards just above his nose. Issei also sports a very sharp canine teeth, and his claws with strong, sharp, red nails growing in his back. Issei possessed 4 large bony wings with the dark outlines and rippled tips. The very earth quaked beneath his rage as the citizens of Ko, or even the entirety of Japan, become scared at the sudden earthquake. The sky above Issei seemed to part in two, as if the heavens above cowers before the chaos caused by Issei's unrivaled power, as lightning and thunder came down, striking down to the earth. Strangely enough, the only one area unaffected by his massive power was the ruins of the shrine. It seems that, subconsciously, Issei is still trying to protect Akano's home, even in his frenzied state. The first beings who came up to the scene were, fortunately, Orpheus and Great-red, having sensed that something was wrong, and the moment Issei's seals began to break, and quickly made their way towards him. They were greeted by the sight of a very enraged Issei in his dragon form, with a ruined environment all around them, most likely due to Issei's power going out of control. The first to say anything was Orpheus, who worried about the mind of her son. What the hell happened here? What happened to Issei? She shouted at Great-red, hoping he would have some answer. Unfortunately, Great-red had nothing to give her, as he had no idea of the events that transpired here. All that he knew was they had to do something about their son before the situation escalates even further as hell breaks loose, literally. I don't know, but there is a more pressing matters at the moment to tend to right now. Right now, we need to get Issei out of here. No doubt many supernatural beings felt his power and are most likely on their way to see what is going on. And right now, we need to help Issei calm down rather than dealing with the nuisances. Open a gate to the dimensional gap and I'll send Issei in there. We will figure out what happened when we finish dealing with this mess. Orpheus nodded as she did exactly what she did before going it herself. Great-red quickly took position in front of Issei as he launched himself towards his son. Sorry about this, Issei, he thought as he smashed himself into Issei, causing him to roar in pain as he propelled into a portal leading into the dimensional gap, which closed as soon as they entered. Moments later, Great-red's predictions came true, as multiple magic signatures came into view. One by one, multiple beings from different religion popped up out of nowhere from circles. The first was a handsome man who seemed to be in his early 20s. He possessed his shoulder length, crimson red hair, blue eyes. He is Sir Zex Lucifer, one of the devil kings in charge of the underworld and potentially the strongest devil alive. Alongside him was another man who is Sir Zex's childhood friend, is considered to rival Sir Zex in strength, and is known as one of the super devil alongside him. The man also appeared in his early 20s, but possessed short green hair that was slicked back with light blue eyes. His name is Ajuka Beelzebub, formerly belonging to the Ashtroth family and the creator of Evil Pieces system that saved their race from existence. The third who accompanied them was none other than Seraphal Leviathan, or as she liked to call herself, Magical Leviathan, as she could be seen wearing her magical girl outfit. She is a beautiful woman looking in her late teens with black hair and possesses an incredible figure despite her childlike body. These 3 people are 3 out of the 4 mouths of the underworld tasked with leading the devil faction. The last one, Falbum Amustus, stayed behind in case something happened, and also because he found it to be bothersome to leave. Out of all the mouths, he had more laid-back attitude. The next person to show up was a tall man, appearing to be in his 20s, with an average build, black hair, golden bangs, black goatee. He also possessed 12 jet black feathered wings to grow out from his back. That was Azazel, the fallen angel leader of the Gregor, the inventor of many artificial sacred gears. The next man was similarly one of the leaders of his faction after the death of his father. It was the Seraph, Michael, who alongside his siblings Gabriel, Raphael, and Uriel took over the leadership when their father fell in battle. Although this was a very tight secret known by only upper echelons of the 3 great factions, he has the appearance of a handsome-looking man with long blonde hair and green eyes. Like Azazel, he has 12 wings growing from his back, and unlike other angels, while wings are white, his wings are colored gold, further symbolizing his position as the former leader. He wears a red robe with a gold cross in front of his white ab. He has golden shoulder plates with a white sash and a golden halo set above his head. Usually he would be sporting a graceful smile, but this time it was not present on his face, illustrating how urgent the situation was. Alongside him came the aforementioned Gabriel. Gabriel has an appearance of an extremely beautiful woman with curly blonde hair and a voluptuous figure, and known as the most beautiful woman in heaven. Like the other seraphs, Gabriel has 12 wings growing from her back. Unlike her brothers, she still possessed her beautiful smile, embodying her great kindness and innocence. There have been many angels who have fallen from grace from lusting after her. Even in the underworld, she is seen as a true beauty, and many devils would trade most of their fortunes to spend a single night with her. The rest of the seraphim decided to stay behind in heaven to fortify their defenses, while Michael and Gabriel tried to uncover who was behind the unfathomable power. Unfortunately, it was not only the leaders of the three factions who felt this unknown power and came to investigate. Many other supernatural factions felt his overwhelming strength and came to investigate regardless of the fact that they would be encroaching on the other faction's territory, which could initiate war. This showed the importance they placed in figuring out what the potential threat could be. One of these leaders that appeared was Odin, who is the chief of deity of Norse mythology. Odin has the appearance of an elderly man with long gray hair and a matching beard. He wears a gold and white monocle over his left eye. Without the addition of a chain, Odin wears a robe, which is short and blue with gold lining on the top and bottom of the collar. The sleeves of the robe and that of the front of his robes all the way down to the bottom of the robe. The rest of his robe is white with matching shoes. Odin also wears a golden and black hat, which is sectified off into 5 mini sections that sport either color black or gold. The top, middle, and bottom is gold, and sections in black are below and above the middle one. Despite being a god, he's extremely perverted and has found companionship with Azazel in that regard, although the rest of his faction, including his wife and children, are embarrassed at his perverted antics. The next big show was a beautiful woman with voluptuous figure and very blonde hair with matching eyes. She possesses delicate facial features and her eyebrows are very cut short, round symbol of nobility. Her hair is tied in a loose ponytail, reaching all the way down to her legs, and it ends in a spiral, with taut bandages to keep it in place. She can be seen wearing a traditional shrine maiden attire. And over that, she wore a little white coat held close by a red ribbon and a golden crown. Her defining feature, however, were the 9 tails growing from her tailbone. This was Yakuza, a 9-tailed fox and the leader of the yokai. Accompanying Yakuza is one of the 3 Shinto deity Amaterasu. She's a very beautiful woman, comparable to Gabriel, even possesses a certain innocence much like her. She came along to ensure Yakuza's safety in case something went to war. Don't get her wrong. It is not that she does not think Asa can't take of herself. She believes in her own strength, and she knows that she could most likely take on Seraphal head on and most likely come out on top. However, against the likes of Serzex and Ajuka, who are seen as abnormalities amongst the devils as their strength rivals that even of the gods. They aren't called super devils for nothing, and against them, Yakuza wouldn't even stand a chance, especially if they unleashed their true forms. Although the true loss wouldn't just be Yakuza, but her unborn child that she is carrying at the moment. Even though it cannot be seen, Yakuza is a few weeks pregnant and is carrying the hair of the yokai, which is why Amaterasu came to personally guard her. Finally, the last being to appear was someone none of them would have thought would even venture outside his territory. It was Zeus, the god of lightning and the leader of the Greek pantheon. Zeus is tall, handsome, with blonde hair and bronze eyes. He looks like young despite his actual age. He always seems to have a hard expression on his face. His hair is long and he has a goatee that covers most of his face. Zeus was wearing a red and white robe, with accents of gold in it. Although he mostly dresses like this to show off his wealth and power, out of all the gods currently present, he was the strongest. Although Serzex and Ajuka might be able to take him on in their true forms, but only together. Normally, he would never venture outside Olympus, but like the other gods, he too felt the primal energy radiate even from his domain, which illustrates how powerful it really was, and it deemed it necessary to investigate as a potential threat to Olympus, even going as far as stepping inside the devil territory unannounced, which could be seen as an act of war. The only severs to prove how seriously he is taking the mysterious entity. After everyone appeared, Azazel decided to break the ice amongst the group. "I take it, you all came for the same reason as I." "It would seem so," replied Ajuku. "Hey, you old geezer, how have you been?" Azazel asked, waving enthusiastically at Odin. "Ho, I've been doing as good as I could be. Let me tell you, it isn't easy being the chief of Norse leader when my own brats keep causing me headaches. Except for Baldur. He at least is quite considerate," sighed Odin, clearly at his son's antics between Thor's thrill and battles Loki's mischief. He had no time to relax. Ha, I feel you. How about I take you to Opie Pub? Young girls from my organization recently opened up a shop in the town for VIPs recently. It took me forever to get the approval of Sir Zax. I will invite you there then, Azazel said, trying to cheer up the old man, in which it worked. Ooh, to be expected from Azazel, boy. You sure know your things. Prepare me big-breasted one right away. I'm going to grope many of them, he said with a perverted grin on his face. Follow my lead, shitty geezer. Welcome to Japan. Do you want to unite the Kyoma Obi? That is something you must do at least once when you come to Japan. I will show you the Japanese style. I can't wait for it indeed, Odin replied. Sir Zex, Ajuka, and Michael could do nothing but sigh at their interaction, knowing that this is who they were, despite the fact that both of their factions aren't really allies. Their leaders get along well. Amaterasu, however, started to get a bit annoyed at their antics. This was clear by the small tick on her forehead. Gentlemen, I do not believe this is a time nor place to have such a conversation, she said, her smile ever so present, yet her tone was anything but pleasant, causing a small chill down Azazel and Odin's spine. Buzzkill? Pfft, they both muttered, yet they understood she was right. Moving to the attention to another, Azazel decided to address the elephant in the room. My, you are honestly one of the last people I would have ever guessed to come here, Zeus. I can understand Amaterasu and Yakuza's presence here, considering that Ko is part of Japan, thus involved with the Shioto pantheon. Odin is in the process of a peaceful negations with our faction, so his presence here is justifiable. You, however, never really set foot outside of Olympus, choosing to let your children deal with the outside problems. Ha! You are correct, Azazel. That alone speaks volume on how dangerous the Nesno entity is. I felt its power all the way from Olympus. It startled even, which is why, he turned towards the devil, specifically Sir Zex, I hope you will forgive my intrusion on your lands, coming by unannounced, bowing his head humbly. Oh, never thought I'd see modesty coming out of you, giggled Odin. Watch it, you old perv, Zeus stared at Odin. However, before they got at each other's throats, Sir Zex intervened. It is no trouble at all, Zeus. I understand that the situation at hand is very troubling, and I can understand from your point of view why you'd want to investigate. I have to admit that I'm surprised that you were able to sense power all the way from Olympus. That would also mean that the other pantheons must have sensed it as well, stated Seraphol. I'm pretty sure they did. The Celtics and the Egyptian pantheon have always been secretive and elusive. They most likely felt the energy but did not care since it did not occur in their territory. In terms of the Hindu faction, we all know that Indra is not interested in anything but taking Shiva. The aforementioned god probably found his turn-off events amusing and most likely not intervene until he wants to, explained Azazel, to which everyone nodded and agreeing it. At least it means no one else will suddenly pop up here. We already have a lot to deal with and we do not need any more distractions, Zex said. Agreed. Do you have any idea what was that enormous power spike and who could have caused it? Asked Michael, bringing everyone back to the situation at hand. No one had an answer to that question. They looked around to see if any traces of the person, if there was still a possible witness or bystanders. However, the area was completely desolate. Based on the level of destruction that occurred here, I originally assumed that it was done by a god. However, based on the readings I'm currently scanning, the energy that was released doesn't feel like that of any god. It felt more primal and destructive, like that of the dragons, remarked Ajuka. Everyone gasped at the remark. Dragons have always been beings of pure power, and despite being relatively low in numbers, are still beings that still fear even to the gods. In fact, if you looked at the top 5 strongest beings at the time before the heavenly gods were sealed, the top 4 would be assigned to Great-red, Orpheus, Drake, and Albion, with Shiva taking the last spot as number 5. Yet, he would even fall at the heavenly dragon's ultimate breath. Although based on the level of destruction caused here, the dragon in question would have to at least be Dragon King level, if not Heavenly Dragon class, remarks Sir Zex. I can guarantee you that it wasn't Miss Guinevere. That fellow was lying at the bottom of the ocean asleep and will not move until Ragnarok begins. I doubt anything would make him move, Odin stated as he stroked his beard. Ajuka followed him after saying, the same can be said for Tiamat. She is dwelling within the familiar forest and does not seem to care much for anything else other than any information regarding Drake's host. As for Tanin, Ajuka looked towards Sir Zex, who simply shook his head. Tanin is very busy taking care of his pack and raising dragon apples. I do not believe he would cause such an incident that would further antagonize people against dragons. Hell, he disregarded his pride and became a devil with the sole purpose of saving his kind from extinction. So I highly doubt he would cause such devastation, knowing the repercussions it would have to his kind. Everyone nodded except his reasoning. And that is where we're going to stop for now. Now, I have this crazy what if idea. And if you guys want to know what it is what if Issei was a god killer? And I'll tell you basically the format of the story. Instead of him getting betrayed by the ORC or something like that, it would be all of them, meaning all of the Maos, all of the Devil Kings, all of the gods, all of the things like that, betrayed Rias's faction in specific, and they almost kill everybody off except for Issei. And Issei becomes into a primal rage, and he starts killing the gods out of anger. So I wanted to call it, what if Issei became the god killer? Or what if Issei was a god killer? Or Issei the god killer is born. That's what I would like to call it. If you guys are interested in that at all, that story would be made up by me, because I feel like I could write that extremely well. But thank you guys so much for your support. I mean, holy shit, that stream was crazy. Like, that stream was truly crazy. Thank you for all the donations. I think I got like over $200 in like donos. It's been absolutely crazy. Like, I can't thank you enough for that stream. As for her, I don't know if she's gonna come back on the stream, but hey, it is what it is. So thank you guys so much for the support. It's been absolutely amazing. If you guys want to know exactly when I upload / my upload schedule, click the little blue button right next to the subscribe button. Thank you so much for the support. 30K soon. Without further ado, Spartanic Arts DXD out.